My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of The Mist. And this will be a spoil-filled review, so if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, then come back here and watch my review because I will be going in depth. Now, this is a movie I remember loving. I remember it being effective as a creature feature and also as a psychological horror. So I was really curious to see if this movie was going to be as good as I remember. I was curious to see if this movie holds up. And unfortunately, the answer is no. Absolutely not. But let's begin talking about the cast. First was Thomas Jane, and this is an actor who's never really impressed me. And I'm not saying his performance in this movie is great or anything, but I do think he does a good job. I think he does a good job playing that straight, sane man in a world where everyone else has gone insane. And he's the most human character of the bunch, and I do think he plays that very well. But the standout performance is Marcia Gay Harden. She is absolutely fantastic here. She is terrifying as the crazy lady, and my goodness, this kind of performance doesn't get any kind of recognition at the Oscars, but she really deserved it here. It is that level of performance. You also got Laurie Harden, who I didn't think does a good job. She lacks any bit of personality. You've got Andre Braugher and Toby Jones, who both do a really good job. Nathan Gamble plays the kid in this movie, and for a kid performance, I think he does a good enough job. And then you've also got Alexa Davalos and Sam Witwer, who I don't think were bad in this movie, but I just needed a bit more from. I wish the movie gave them a bit more to do. So the cast does do a good job, and when this movie is trying to be a psychological horror movie, that is when it's most effective. When it's faced with the question of what would you do? Who would you be during the end times? And the way the movie uses that question to explore human nature, I think it's expertly handled. And I thought everything with Mrs. Comedy was bone-chilling and just super effective. You know, the fact that people were willing to kill a kid and the fact that you buy into the fact that it would get to that point just makes it all the more memorable. And I do like the ramp up in this movie when they're in the supermarket and you see the mist coming and there's someone screaming and there's a loud earthquake. I think the ramp up in this movie is very well handled and you can feel some tension there. But unfortunately, none of the creature monster aspects of this movie hold up for me at all, just due to the terrible CGI. As soon as that first tentacle comes out of the garage door, I was just like, oh man, I'm not going to like this movie that much, am I? And that was the case. And there's no excuse for it. This movie came out in 2007. That isn't, like if this came out in the 90s or the 80s, I'd be a bit more lenient on it, but the fact that it came out in 2007, there's just no excuse. War of the Worlds, which looks amazing visually, came out 2 years before that. For goodness sakes, Spider-Man 3 and Pirates of the Caribbean 3 came out the same year. And like, I know those movies have bigger budgets, but if you're not able to hit the level of quality you need to, then be smarter about it. You've got this premise involving mist. Use that to hide the monsters. Keep them in the mist. Keep them in the shadows. That one scene where that guy is out in the mist and he's attached to the warp and the warp is going up and down and then half his body goes towards the door. That was one of the best scenes because you didn't have these stupid looking bugs flying around. And like, I could forgive it if this was supposed to be a horror comedy. But this is meant to be a very dark and disturbing movie. So all those CGI beasts just take me right out of it. I can't take the movie seriously at that point. Like, two movies from the 90s I really enjoy are The Faculty and Deep Rising. And the CGI in those movies don't hold up. But that said, they're meant to be schlocky movies, so it works. Not here. I will also say that the documentarian approach to the cinematography was very hit or miss for me. Sometimes it's effective, like you're observing these people, but sometimes they just draw too much attention to it and it actually takes me out. Like the last scene in the car when they're still doing the close-ups didn't work for me at all. And I don't like the fade out editing. It makes the movie look cheap and it doesn't work for this kind of movie. And it also bothers me that The man is married. The kid's got a mom. And she's almost never brought up for like 98% of this movie. Like, you might be facing death. The love of your life might be dead. And not once is that brought up. I really wish they dove deeper into that. And let's talk about the very controversial ending. Some people love it and defend it. Some people really hate it. And where do I land? I hate it. I think it is such a stupid ending. I get what they're going for. And I like some of what they're going for. But in its execution, it just feels so laughably absurd. And it just feels like it's trying way too hard to be depressing. Like, Last of Us 2 is my favorite story of all time, and it ends on a very depressing note. But that said, it feels authentic to the story that came beforehand, while this ending doesn't. I don't really buy the fact that he would kill his kid. Like, that is a huge ask to get the audience to buy into. And I just don't buy it. I don't. And the fact that he knew there wasn't enough bullets for him afterwards either makes me buy it even less. Like, if they all just got out of the vehicles and just walked among the mist just to see what would happen and the movie ended there, much better ending. Maybe they make it, maybe they don't, but we don't just got this absurd ending where he kills everyone, then he can't kill himself, and then just like that, everything's better, the monsters are stopped, the mist is gone, everything is perfect again like that. Like, come on! You can't ask me to buy that. It is a stupid ending. I get what they're going for, but just doesn't work in any way, shape, or form. Look, I really wanted to love this movie. I once did, but it doesn't hold up at all. When all those stupid bugs are flying around the supermarket, I just can't take it seriously. It looks so stupid. And because of that, this movie isn't even remotely creepy or scary. Like, I watched this movie with my brother, who has a terrible fear of spiders. He won't watch Arachnophobia with me, and that spider scene didn't scare him at all. So that's how you know you're not scary remotely. I think as an exploration of human nature and the end times, this movie does manage to be effective and it gets tension from that. But man, if it was able to nail them both and just keep the monsters hidden in the mist and do the Jaws approach, I really do feel like this movie could be excellent, but they didn't. So therefore, we just get a mediocre movie instead. So I'm going to go ahead and give The Mist a 5.5 out of 10. Okay, have you seen The Mist or have you missed it? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.